Namaskar friends. So we are done with our discussion on processing of polymers, and we are going to start a completely different aspect of polymer based composites, or we are going to start our discussion on composite materials. Now today's session will be a kind of a fundamental lecture or fundamental discussion on the concept of composite materials. Now we have discussed polymers. So we can add, you can say that's a different types of polymers we see around us. They have different types of colors: red color polymer products or plastic product, blue color plastic products, green color plastic products. Yes, they do exist, but the basic color of the polymer which has been used to make that product may be different. So some coloring agents are added into these polymers. So can we call these products as composite products? No. So we have to be very clear that which material we are going to call as the composite material, and that is the object of our discussion today, that we try to understand that what is a composite material. There are large number of lectures available on composite material, so we will just try to understand the bare minimum fundamental of a composite, and then our topic is processing of polymers and polymer based composites or polymer composites. So our focus would be to discuss the processing routes, processing technologies or fabrication technologies for various types of composite products, and specifically polymer based composite products. But as one word that is coming in our title, that is processing of polymers and polymer composites, composite word we should try to understand that what is basically a composite material, and if we can understand what is a composite, we can work in different dimensions of composites, right from conceptualization, that what can be a matrix and a reinforcement, to the fabrication, to the characterization, then finally into the application part of the composite. So first and foremost we should try to understand what a composite material is. There are number of naturally occurring composite materials. Our forefathers used to make the mud walls in mud houses. So they used to mix the vegetable waste, the agricultural waste with the mud in the form of small fibers, and then they used to paste it around the mud wall. So what was the purpose of that? We need to understand it, and composites give us the answer to this question, that why do they add all these agricultural waste into the mud? Why? What was the purpose of that? So that is one fundamental query that we need to answer. Then our bones, human bones, animal bones are also examples of naturally occurring composites. Even wood is an example of naturally occurring composite. So I am not going to explain what are the constituents of wood or human bones, but you need to find out as an assignment that what is present in the wood, what can be termed as matrix in context of a wood, what can be termed as reinforcement in context of a wood. Similarly in bone, what is matrix, what is a reinforcement, but what are the basic terminologies related to matrix and reinforcement that we are trying to cover today in the form of our session. And we will see that in a composite what is a reinforcement, what is a matrix. So let us start our discussion with the composite material, and first example that usually may not be that true, civil engineers can give a better representation of that you can say analogy, but one example that I usually quote whenever we start our discussion on composite materials is the RCC structure. So we have concrete and the metallic rods. Now the concrete, if you see, all the time it is made up of so many different mixture of so many different civil engineering materials, but cement is also one of the important parts there. And in cement always we talk of the compression, always we talk of the compressive strength. So we can say concrete is good in compression but it is poor in tension, whereas the metallic rods are good in tension but are poor in compression. If you apply a compressive load, the buckling may take place. So what simple example just to explain the concept of matrix and reinforcement. Now we have combined concrete and the metallic rods together into a civil engineering structure. Why? Because we want to take the advantage or the best properties of both the constituents, that is the concrete as well as the metallic rods. So from here we derive the concept of reinforcement and a matrix. So in this case the continuous phase is concrete. So if you see, first we have a network of the metallic rods and then we put concrete. So concrete, you can say, encapsulate all the rods. So concrete is the continuous phase here, and therefore we can say that concrete is the matrix in this case, and the reinforcement is being provided by the metallic rods. So we say the metallic rods are acting as the reinforcement and concrete is acting as the matrix material. So for all types of composites we will see that it can broadly be categorized into two main constituents. One constituent will be a matrix, another constituent will be a reinforcement, and based on the matrix and the reinforcement, their chemical nature and further their physical form, further their properties, mechanical properties, we can have different types of composite materials. So we can have matrix which can be ceramic in nature, we can have a matrix which is metallic in nature, as well as in our case we can have a matrix which is polymer in nature. So based on the matrix we can have different types of composites. Similarly, based on the reinforcement also we will have different types of composites. Now the reinforcement can be continuous, as in the case of RCC structure, it can be discontinuous or randomly oriented in case of metal matrix composite. So depending upon the types of reinforcement we can have different types of composite materials. So with this basic maybe discussion, let us now switch over to our presentation and try to understand the basic concept, the basic definitions of the composite material. Now when we talk of composite material, we need to understand definitions, we need to understand the constituents. As I have told you, every composite material will have matrix, it will have a reinforcement. Now the properties of both, the properties of matrix will be different, the properties of reinforcement will be different. Now we are combining two different materials with different properties and we are trying to make a single material. Now the single material will have property distribution or a combination of properties derived from these two constituents. So we need to understand what are the constituents, what are their properties that are forcing us to bring them together, so that we need to understand. Similarly, if we are developing a new material, what are the application areas for that material, that also we need to understand. And finally, whenever you propose a new material, now researchers, scientists, whenever there will be some new thought, some novel thought, some innovative thought coming into the market or coming in discussion, there will always be challenge, because always we resist the change. So whenever a new material is developed, we have to ensure, we have to prove that this material is better than the existing materials. So we have traditional engineering materials like steel, we have traditional engineering materials like wood. So we have so many structural materials which are in use for maybe last 150 to 100 years. Now whenever you propose a new material, that material has to challenge and it has to overcome, we can say, the mindset, then it has to prove that it is a better material based on the properties, based on the performance, based on the in-service performance. So that is also very, very important. That is the comparison of properties of the new material as compared to the already existing traditional conventional engineering materials. So we have a whole list of conventional materials, and composite materials were developed in the maybe 1960s or 70s. So they are materials which are 50-60 years old or 5 or 6 decades old. So other materials are in maybe, if you talk of the importance of materials, there are ages, historical ages named after materials only. So the importance of materials is there since so many years. So whenever a new material is developed, it has to overcome that challenge, that what is it going to achieve which cannot be achieved by the already existing material. So comparison always become very, 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 very important. So when we end today's session, I think not all, but answers to some of the points raised or points highlighted in this slide should be clear in your thinking process. Why composite materials now? First question. Now composites can be very strong and stiff, yet very light in weight. So majorly if we talk of the polymer based composites, that is our topic. Our topic is processing of polymers and polymer composites. So if we focus on polymer based composites, one of the major advantage is that they are light in weight. Similar thing may not be true in case of metal matrix composites, but if we focus on polymer composites only, these are very strong and stiff, and yet they are very light in weight. So the ratio of strength to weight as well as stiffness to weight is very high and comparatively higher than steel or aluminum. So that is the point in the last slide I was highlighting, that whenever a new material is proposed, it has to face the challenge of the traditional material. So for lightweight applications, we can conclude that these composite materials, specifically polymer based composite materials, have high strength to weight ratio, high stiffness to weight ratio as compared to the traditionally used metals, that is steel and aluminum. Moreover, the fatigue properties are also better than most common engineering metals. Toughness is often greater too. So we are comparing them from the mechanical engineering point of view. So we are talking of strength to weight ratio, we are talking of stiffness to weight ratio, we are talking of fatigue, we are talking of toughness. Now all these properties are important from the applications point of view. So we can say that wherever we are using metals or wood, we can think of replacing these traditional materials with advanced materials, with materials which are light in weight. Now whatever discussion we have done till now, I may put a simple question to all of you: where do you feel that the maximum application of these materials can be? Just give it a thought, where these materials can be used. Now if you can just look at the properties, strength to weight ratio is high, stiffness to weight ratio is high, lightweight application, so very easily you can say they can be used for aerospace industry, they can be used in aircrafts, they can be used in automobiles, they can be used in marine industry, they can be used in sports equipment like lawn tennis rackets, they can be used for making hockey sticks, they can be used for making medical assistive devices like our crutches. So you can just from lightweight aspect only, you can find number of applications where these materials can find usage. So the mechanical properties, therefore we are highlighting that these properties are comparable or many times better as compared to the traditional engineering materials. So therefore we can, coming to slightly on the chemical side, composites can be designed that do not corrode like steel. So mechanical properties are comparable or better. Corrosion resistance, they can be made, or they have the property of corrosion resistance. Possible to achieve combination of properties not attainable with metal, ceramics or polymers alone. Now we can combine 2 or 3 materials together to make a composite material which will have better properties as compared to the traditional metals, traditional polymers or traditional ceramics. Now maybe the ceramics is the last word coming in our discussion. Now ceramics, all of you know, has poor fracture toughness. Now we can improve on that property by adding some fillers, adding some fibers into the ceramic, and it has been proved in research that addition of reinforcement in monolithic ceramics or maybe pure ceramics improves the fracture toughness property. So therefore we make the composite material in order to develop a material, in order to conceptualize a material which will have better properties as compared to the constituents. Now why composite materials, I think is very clear, that we can attain the properties which are not available or not attainable by the constituents alone. So we combine the constituents together to make a third material which has better properties or a combination of properties of the constituents. Now coming on to the advantages. Advantages are they have tailor-made properties. Now tailor-made means that we can design, we can make the measurements in such a way that fits the application. Now tailor-made properties mean that these materials we can select what is going to be the matrix, we can select what is going to be the reinforcement, we can select the type of reinforcement based on the shape, the size of the reinforcement, the form of the reinforcement, the quantity of the reinforcement. So as per the application we can design our material. So that is first advantage of composites, that they have got the tailor-made properties. Similarly, low weight, already I think in our discussion today we have highlighted that they have high strength to weight ratio, high stiffness to weight ratio, and therefore they are light in weight. Good mechanical properties too, we have already touched toughness and fatigue. So they have mechanical properties which are comparable or even better than the existing metals. Integral design and parts integration. Now this is very important, because here the product is made in the form of dies or in the form of molds. So they have got integral design. So we need not make too many different parts and then have problems of assembly. So here we can have an integral design and parts integration. So that is the second point, that we need not make so many parts, so direct product can be made. We will see there are challenges in parts integration also in case of composite material, but yes, that is one advantage. And another advantage of the composite materials is the last point. I am just jumping 2 points. Last point, that is coming from integral design and parts integration, ease of fabrication and installation. Now just take an example of a concrete bridge or a traditional bridge that is made, or a over bridge that has to be constructed. Now it may take 6 months to 1 year time to construct that bridge. Whereas in case of a composite material, if you want to make the same bridge, same span length, all other dimensions or all other specifications remaining same, it will take maybe a month or 1.5 months time. Why? Because the composite slabs or the composite sections or the composite structural members will be fabricated in the industry or in the factory. They will be brought from the factory to the construction site, and there only the final assembly will be done. So that is one advantage of that is available with the composite materials, that it is easy to fabricate and easy to install. Then other advantages are inherent surface finish. As I have already told you, composites will be made in molds and dies, so the surface finish of the dies will be replicated on the composite products, and therefore we can attain or we can achieve very good surface finish, as well as corrosion resistance. So I must address here that this list is not very exhaustive, only 6-7 points are given, whereas composites have got lot of applications and lot of advantages over the traditional materials. But yes, there are certain dark phases also, there are certain limitations also. For example, the flame retardancy or the flame retardant behavior, inflammability, high temperature applications. These specifically polymer based composites are not very good for high temperature applications. So there are problems also, but must I address that these are not the only advantages that composites possess. They have number of other advantages also which have been listed in different books, and the learners can address those points maybe on their own. But these are the major advantages that every engineer who has fundamental knowledge of composite materials must know, that what are the major advantages of the composite materials. Now coming on to the definition, the fundamentals, we have already seen that why do we need to understand, why do we need to study composite materials. Now let us try to enter into the family or enter into the basic concepts of composites. On your screen you have a very fundamental definition given by Komanduri in 1997. Composite materials form a material system composed of a mixture or a combination of two or more macro constituents. So that is one point, they are combination of two macro constituents. Second point, that differ in form and chemical composition. Now you can see that there will be macro constituents, there can be two, they can be more than two, they can be three, they can be four. They will differ in form, and chemical composition. So maybe one can be, you can say, in the form of a polymer or a viscous fluid, other can be in the form of a powder, and then you are combining them, so they are different in form. So one is viscous fluid, another one is powder, so that is a difference in the form, as well as their chemical composition is different. And the last point that is most important, that they are insoluble in each other, and therefore I have given the example of RCC structure. If you break it, you can separate the concrete and you can separate your metallic rods. So the two constituents, that is the matrix and the reinforcement, are not soluble into each other, they are insoluble into each other, means they will retain their individual identity even after composite has been formed, and there will be an interface that separates the two constituents, that is the matrix and the reinforcement. The figure is shown here. There is a reinforcement, there is a matrix. In our case, polymer composites, polymer is the matrix material, and they combine together, that is addition sign is shown here, they combine together to make a composite material. Another definition, Reinhardt Handbook of Composite. Composite materials are macroscopic combination of two or more distinct materials having a discrete and recognizable interface separating them. So again you can see that there are again macroscopic combination of two or more materials. So there can be other more than 2, 3, 4 materials, and they have a discrete and recognizable. So if you see under scanning electron microscope, you must be able to see at high resolutions that this is the reinforcement, this is the matrix, and in between there is an interface that separates the matrix and the reinforcement. So on your screen we have shown an exaggerated view. The interface will not be this much thick in any composite, but just to explain, we can see there will be a reinforcement. So there is a matrix, maybe the black color is the matrix and the white color is the reinforcement, and there is an interface between the black and the white. There will be an interface running along this line, and there will be an interface running along this line. So there will be an interface that separates the matrix and the reinforcement. Now let us try to understand the fundamentals of matrix and reinforcement. So components or constituents of a composite material. For what is a matrix? What is the role of the matrix? Matrix that holds the reinforcements in place. So it will keep the reinforcing materials together, reinforcing agents together, provides the bulk form of the part or product made of the composite material. So many times you may have 70% matrix material, 30% reinforcement, 80% matrix material, 20% reinforcement. So the matrix forms the bulk of the material, it is the continuous phase, and we reinforce it by putting some reinforcement. So matrix is the bulk or the main constituents, we can say, of the composite material. When a load is applied, the matrix shares the load with the reinforcing element. So in more technical terms, we can say that matrix acts as an agent for distribution of load among the fibers that are used for reinforcing the structural member. So matrix acts as an agent for transfer of load. That is also one of the key objectives of the matrix. So majorly we will have 3 types of matrices. One is a polymer, as in our case, then it can be ceramic matrix, it can be a metallic matrix. So for example, in metal matrix composite, we have aluminum alloy as a metallic matrix, and it can be reinforced with certain ceramics such as Al2O3 or boron carbide. So depending upon the combination, depending upon the application, depending upon the desired properties, we may choose a metallic material as a matrix, and we can use another maybe metal, or it can be a ceramic as the reinforcing agent. So matrix, based on matrix we can have 3 types of composites: polymer matrix composite, ceramic matrix composites, and metal matrix composites. Now the reinforcing element, material that provides strength or reinforcement to the matrix. So we have this again the same diagram. is shown here. The white color portion is showing the reinforcing, or it can be reinforcing fibers. The black portion is showing the matrix, and there is an interface between the black and the white portion which is separating the matrix and the reinforcement. Now we can have different types of reinforcements. Now reinforcing element is most commonly used is one of the following shapes. So maybe on your screen you can see different types of reinforcements can be used. So it can be fibers, it can be particles, it can be flakes, it can be layers, it can be whiskers. So different types of reinforcements can be used for reinforcing the matrices. Now if the reinforcement concept is clear, the matrix concept is clear, now clearly we can have a definition which will help us to differentiate the composite material from an alloy. It can help us to differentiate the material from a blend. So let us see that how a material can be classified as a composite. Now we can see both constituents are present in reasonable proportion, that is the matrix and the reinforcement. For example, in RCC structure we can say the metallic rods as well as the concrete, both of them should be present in the RCC structure in appreciable amount or in significant amount, and the bottom line rough you can say rule of thumb is given that 5% is the minimum. So maybe it can be a combination that matrix is 95% and reinforcement is 5%. So we can say okay, we can classify it as a composite material, or a better composite can be 10% reinforcement by weight or by volume and 90% matrix, or it can be 60% matrix, 40% reinforcement. So we can say that is one condition, that both should be present in appreciable amount. Then composite properties are noticeably different from the properties of the constituent. If one of the constituent, maybe suppose the matrix is dictating all the properties of the composite, so we may say that what is the need of adding the reinforcement into the composite material when all the properties are being dictated by the matrix only, or on the contrary all the properties are dictated by the reinforcement, the matrix has no contribution in the properties of the resulting composite, then we may say that what is the role of the matrix, only reinforcement is maybe playing a most important role in dictating the properties. So that is one important point, that when we are combining two different materials together, we want to take advantage of the properties of both the materials, so that the third material or the composite that we are developing must have the properties or the better properties as compared to the two constituents. All the properties may not increase, but maximum properties should improve by this combination, otherwise there is no need of combining the two different constituents which are physically different, which are chemically different. What is the purpose of combining them together if we are not getting desirable properties? The second point is the properties of the constituents should be different from the properties of the composite, or we can say the properties of the composite should be an improvement over the properties of the constituents. Last point, a man-made composite is usually produced by intimately mixing and combining the constituent. So specifically man-made is written because I have told you in the very beginning of today's session that there are naturally occurring composites also like wood and bones. So a man-made composite, if we will classify any material as a composite, must have been made by physically mixing the reinforcement and the matrix together. So physically means we will combine them using a machine or using a setup or using a maybe physically, maybe manually also. By manual labor we are combining the reinforcement and the fiber together. So we will see there are different types of processes that are used for processing of composite materials, and that we will see that what are the, some processes are manual, some are semi-automatic and some are fully automatic, and that is the major topic of our discussion. So which will start in the next session with discussion on processing techniques for composite materials, and we will see if some other introductory part is required, we will cover that also. So now I think it should be clear that how you will differentiate a alloy and a composite, how you will differentiate a polymer blend and a composite material. Now very quickly let us just see the different types of reinforcement. So in case of synthetic composites, which are man-made composite, different types of reinforcements can be used. So on your screen you can see yellow color is representing the matrix. The yellow color on your screen is representing the matrix continuous phase, and the red color are showing the fiber tips. The fibers may be running all along the matrix. So this is one type of reinforcement. Then particulate, you can see the yellow color again is depicting the matrix, and there is different types of reinforcements: spherical reinforcement, irregular shaped reinforcement, and regular or faceted type of reinforcement. So depending upon the shape of the particles that are used for reinforcing the matrix, we can have different types of particle reinforced composites. Then we can have whiskers, which will have an aspect ratio. So we can have aligned whiskers. Red color are the whiskers, they have a length and they have a width. Definitely they will have a thickness also. So these whiskers are aligned whiskers, and then they are randomly oriented whiskers. So we can have reinforcement in the form of whiskers, and we can have the reinforcement in the form of layers. So again, yellow is depicting the matrix material and the red is depicting the layer. So here we have 3 layers in case of continuous layers reinforced composite. So sometimes we call 4-layered reinforced composite or 4-layered reinforced laminate. So that terminology we will cover maybe in the subsequent session. So with this we come to the end of our first session on composite materials, and we have not yet discussed the fundamental of polymers and polymers or polymer based composite. We have just discussed the overview of the composite material, that what is a composite material, how we can classify a composite material, or how we can classify any material as a composite material, and we have tried to understand the basic aspect of matrix and reinforcement. And in our subsequent sessions we will try to understand what are the various processes that are used for processing of polymer based composite materials. Thank you.